Good afternoon, welcome to Spectrum Television News at noon. I am Yaya Ma'am, come to you live from the Akwa State capital. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu Obasanjo mourned as businessman Otumba Ojora dies at 93. Governor Soludo accuses politicians of sponsoring Monday sit at home. In other news, United States judge blocks Trump administration from detaining refugees in Minnesota. We'll bring you the details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. First in the news at noon is from the national scene, where President Bola Tinubu has unveiled the Climate Resilient Livelihoods Empowerment Program for displaced populations, a 10-year, $250 million initiative designed to restore livelihoods and empower Nigerians displaced by climate-related disasters. The President announced in his opening address at the special event on climate-induced mobility held under Nigeria's chairmanship of the Rabat process, which brought together global leaders and development partners to examine the links between climate change, migration, security and development. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Yomi Odunuga, said the President, who was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, stated that the CLEPS for DPS will focus on empowering displaced persons through climate-smart agriculture, renewable energy entrepreneurship, climate data and digital employment, green value chains, as well as dedicated leadership tracks for women and youths. He added that the program reflects the federal government's shift from emergency responses to long-term people-centered solutions that strengthened resilience and preserve human dignity. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu and former President Olusegun Obasanjo have mourned an influential businessman and foremost traditional title holder, Otumba Adekunle Ojora, who has passed away at the age of 93. The Lagos royal family of the late Abdul Ojora announced Ojora's death in a statement yesterday. According to the statement, Otumba Ojora passed away in the early hours of Wednesday. Born on the 13th of June 1932, Otumba Ojora was the Otumba of Lagos, Lisha of Ife, and held several other esteemed chieftaincy titles, including head of the Ojora royal family and Olori Omoba of Lagos. In the meantime, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, has called on Nigerians to embrace tolerance and peaceful coexistence, describing unity as the bedrock for national development. Shettima made the call on Wednesday in Jos, Plateau State, during a courtesy visit to the Bongwom of Jos and chairman of the Plateau State Council of Chiefs and Emirs, His Royal Majesty Jacob Giang Buba. According to the Vice President, Nigeria's diversity should serve as a source of strength rather than division, noting that all citizens are bound by a shared heritage that outweighs ethnic or religious differences. The Vice President, who was in the state for the grand reception of Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang and other political leaders into the All Progressives Congress (APC), commended traditional rulers for their role in maintaining social harmony. We head now to the Red Chambers, where the Senate has disclosed plans to hold an executive briefing over the December 25th United States airstrikes on terrorist targets in Sokoto State, following concerns raised by Senator Abdul Ninge on the alleged exclusion of the National Assembly from discussions preceding the operation. Raising the issue under Order 42, Matters of Privilege, during plenary, Senator Ninge, an opposition lawmaker representing Bauchi Central, argued that the airstrikes amounted to an infringement on Nigeria's territorial integrity and should have involved legislative oversight. He maintained that the National Assembly, constitutionally mandated to play a role in matters of national security and foreign military engagements, was not consulted before the strikes were carried out. In another development, the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has fixed 10 fresh days for the trial to be concluded in the corruption charges filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) against the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, over the Naira redesign. Justice Marian Anien fixed the 10 days on Wednesday following a consensus between counsel to the EFCC, Rotimi Oyedepo San, and counsel to Emefiele Olalekan Ojo San. The scheduled dates are February 3rd and 10th, April 1st and 2nd, May 11th, 12th and 13th and 14th, as well as June 9th and 10th, during which the trial, which commenced in 2024, is expected to be concluded. Justice Anies charged lawyers on both sides to keep faith with the appointed dates, assuring them that the court would accommodate them appropriately during the period. Over now to Anambra State's Governor Chukwuma Soludo, who has accused certain politicians of orchestrating the renewed Monday sit-at-home observed in parts of the southeast. He specifically pointed to Onitsha Main Market and Nnewi as the areas most affected, describing the shutdown as a deliberate attempt to disrupt economic activities in the state. Speaking at a press briefing at the Lighthouse in Awka, Governor Soludo stated that the weekly closure of these major markets is not a coincidence but a coordinated effort by individuals he called enemies of the state and the southeast region. He added that the development amounts to economic sabotage and emphasized that it will not be tolerated by his administration. The governor warned traders that the one-week closure imposed on Onitsha Main Market last Monday would remain in effect and could be extended by an additional 2 weeks if the market fails to open on a Monday after the current sanction expires. A court in Uganda has granted bail to Sarah Berite, a leading human rights activist detained ahead of the country's general election. Berite, head of the Kampala-based Center for Constitutional Governance (CCG), was arrested on December 30 after questioning the accuracy of the voter register. Authorities later charged her with offenses linked to the alleged unlawful disclosure of voter information on Wednesday. Magistrate Winnie Nyaka ordered her release, saying she had met all the conditions required for bail. Her arrest drew criticism from rights groups who said it was part of a broader crackdown on dissent before the January 15 election. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch had called for her immediate release, while CCG said she was being targeted for defending the rights of marginalized groups. Still in Africa, a partial collapse at a gold mine in South Sudan has reportedly killed 13 people and injured 6, according to the Sudanese Mineral Resources Company. The accident happened last Friday at 5 abandoned shafts in the Farkun mine in South Kordofan. Since fighting began in April 2023 between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, both sides have relied heavily on the country's gold industry alongside foreign support to fund the war. Despite the war, Sudan's gold production reached 70 tons in 2025, the highest in 5 years. However, much of the gold is smuggled across borders into Chad, South Sudan, and Egypt before reaching global markets like the United Arab Emirates. On the foreign scene, a United States federal judge temporarily blocked the administration of President Donald Trump from detaining refugees in Minnesota awaiting permanent resident status and ordered the release of those in detention. Trump has sent thousands of federal immigration agents to the Democratic state as part of a sweeping crackdown that has sparked outrage over 2 civilian deaths at the hands of officers. Authorities launched a program this month to re-examine the legal status of the approximately 5,600 refugees in Minnesota who have not yet been given green cards. In his order, U.S. District Judge John Tohim said that the Trump administration could continue to enforce immigration laws and review refugee status, but that it must do so without arresting and detaining refugees. Still on the foreign scene, former nurse Sarah Morley was officially confirmed Wednesday as the first female Archbishop of Canterbury and the first woman to head the Church of England, the mother church of the 85 million strong global Anglican Communion. At a historic service at London's St. Paul's Cathedral, Morley, 63, legally took up the position or enthronement at the Canterbury Cathedral on March 25. According to the church, Mullally will begin her public ministry and full program of public engagement after the date. Still to come in the news. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news stories. On the business news, the World Bank and the Nigeria's Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning has engaged the Nigeria Governors Forum to support the implementation of governance reforms in the management of basic education and primary health care across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The National Coordinator of the Hub Governors Program, Dr. Hassad, who led members of the National Program Coordination Unit on the advocacy visit in Abuja, described the Nigeria Governors Forum as a critical platform for strengthening intergovernmental coordination to ensure the successful implementation of the program. Dr. Assad hailed the forum for its leadership in championing strategic interventions aimed at promoting governance, service delivery, and outcomes in the basic education and primary health care sectors in the country. He stated that the program is designed to maximize federal and state funds at the facility level in the health and basic education sectors, while reinforcing transparency and monitoring of intergovernmental transfers and expenditure. Still in business, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has opened 50 oil and gas blocks across 5 sedimentary basins for bidding and exploration in the 2025 licensing round, warning that only technically competent and financially strong firms will be allowed to scale through the process. The Commission said the exercise is designed to eliminate speculative participation and reposition Nigeria's upstream sector as a transparent, rules-based destination for long-term investment. The chief executive of the NUPRC, Orisis Semeiwa ASR, made this known during the 2025 licensing round pre-bid webinar, where the regulator outlined the framework, evaluation criteria, and commercial terms guiding the bid process. ASR said the licensing round should be viewed as a strategic intervention to grow reserves, improve production, and strengthen Nigeria's energy security in a rapidly evolving global energy landscape. On our health news, a consultant psychiatrist at the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Aro, Abeokuta, Ogun State, Dr. Sonda Mosu, has warned that using alcohol as a coping mechanism for stress, frustration, or emotional distress often worsens underlying problems and pushes individuals toward addiction. Recall that Nigerians' cumulative spending on beer translated into the 1.54 trillion naira revenue reported by brewing companies in the first 9 months of 2025. An analysis by experts shows that Nigerian Breweries PLC, International Breweries PLC, and Champion Breweries PLC generated a combined revenue of over 1.54 trillion naira from the sale of beer and other non-alcoholic drinks in the first 9 months of 2025. The figure underscores the scale of beer and other alcohol beverage consumption among Nigerians despite prevailing economic pressures. To sports news. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has officially dismissed a protest made by the Fédération Royale Marocaine de Football concerning alleged infractions committed by the Fédération Sénégalaise de Football during the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON final. CAF disclosed this in a statement via their official website. Recall that Morocco had submitted an appeal to CAF under Articles 82 and 84 regarding Senegal's conduct during the AFCON final. Morocco's protest was centered around purported violations of Articles 82 and 84 of the AFCON regulations, specifically in relation to the AFCON final. Articles 82 states that any team that withdraws, refuses to play, or leaves the pitch before the end of the match without the referee's authorization must be considered the loser and eliminated from the competition. Still in sports, the Nigerian National League has reiterated its commitment to putting modalities in place to improve the league. The NNL expressed dissatisfaction with the must-win at home attitude to some clubs participating in the league. They made the statement at the ongoing two-day mid-season retreat at the Remo Stadium Auditorium Complex, Ikene. The chairman of the league body, George Alao, said they are not bothered by the insulting attacks the board received in the just concluded first round. On entertainment news, popular Nigerian actress Angela Okorie has been remanded in Suleja prison for allegedly defaming Mercy Johnson. Angela was remanded by an Abuja court after her arrest. Nollywood filmmaker Stanley On Top made this known while lamenting over the Nigeria judiciary process. While accusing Mercy Johnson of intimidation, Stanley urged her to follow due process, noting that defamation is a civil case. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai MM. Good afternoon.